Our next presentation is by the Teal Lake Drum Circle, a Native American drumming group with members who come from across the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. They participated in our Barriga Days events in the past and were eager to return. As T.J. Derwin, the leader and custodian of the drum, stated, "It is important for them to be here so that they can share their teachings and traditional stories as a way to bridge the gap between our cultures and to reclaim the power of drumming, singing, and sharing those stories in public." We are delighted to have them join us.
the songs that we sing have one thing in common, and that's it. We sing them at least 4 times through. We'll sing the same song 4 times through. And that's to send it out to each direction, each of the 4 cardinal directions. 4 voices out all the way around. So any song that we sing, we have to sing at least 4 times through. Now, we can sing it more than that. We can sing as many times as we want, pretty much. But we always have to sing it at least 4 times through. There's a lot of tobacco songs. Tobacco is one of the 4 sacred medicines. It's tobacco, sage, sweetgrass, and
cedar.
Cedar. Which is my name. My name is Cedar Pack. But tobacco is one that is used for a lot of different things. It's used primarily for gifting and for prayers. When we gift, for instance, if we want to ask someone a favor, hey, we're going to have a sing at such and such, and we really need you to come. It's best if you give that person a pinch of tobacco, and that's a contract between the 2 of you. If that person accepts that tobacco, then they're really obligated to show up or to follow through on whatever you do. So it can be used sort of as a contract. That's one way. Anytime let's say we're out hunting and we harvest game, we always put down tobacco. We always put down tobacco to give thanks to that animal for offering its life for our sustenance. Give thanks to the Creator for giving that animal life. It's a way of giving. Tobacco back in the day was some precious commodity, difficult to get, especially in this area. You had to trade for it for the most part, and so it was more expensive, way more expensive. So because of that, it's used as a gift, a giveaway. That means you're really giving something up when you give that tobacco. So, another way that tobacco is used today is honoring something. For instance, when the 4 of us sat down at this drum, before we started singing, each of us on our own took a little pinch of tobacco, put it on that grandfather, and to give thanks to the drum for being with us, for helping us. And then for prayer, we use tobacco in the pipes. We load the pipes. As we load that pipe, our intentions are going in that pipe with that tobacco. And we load that, and anytime we gift, anytime we put tobacco down, we always do it with the left hand because it's closest to the heart. So it's your intentions that are going out. So when we load up that pipe to smoke it, it's a prayer pipe. Each pinch of tobacco that goes into that bowl is a prayer. Thoughts, our intentions are going into that bowl. So that when we light it, when we smoke it, and that smoke goes up, it carries our prayers up to the Creator. So when you see these pipes, they're prayer pipes. They're really prayer pipes. That's what they're used for. So tobacco is a very, very sacred medicine. That's also very, very useful medicine. One we probably use the most. And then there's sage. We burn sage to dispel anything negative. Just cleanse. It's a cleansing medicine. So if we're having a lot of negativity in the house, we'll go around and we'll smoke it out. Sage dispels negativity. Sweetgrass. We burn sweetgrass to bring in good things. And cedar is a protective medicine as well. People will, for instance, they'll put a little bit of cedar in their shoes sometimes. If they're going to go somewhere where it's kind of, maybe there's been a lot of fighting or a lot of bad thoughts or bad things. We'll put cedar in our shoes so that we can kind of be elevated above that negativity and not let that negativity get to us. So So it's a protective medicine. That's just one way to protective medicine. It's also a cleanser. It's also burnt for cleansing. And also it's used for medicinal tea as a cleansing tea. If you're going on a fast or coming off of a fast, we may make a cedar tea to cleanse. So those are the four. All medicines are sacred. They're all given to us by the Creator. There are no weeds. There's no such thing as a weed. Every single plant on this planet is a medicine that's been gifted to us by the Creator to use for good purposes. So,
Dandelion?
dandelion, yeah, that's a good medicine. I know some of the healers use dandelion for treatment of different things. I don't know if it's inflammatory, maybe. I don't want to speak on their behalf, but there's several different uses for the dandelion plant, not just the flowers, but also the stem and the leaves as well. Every single piece of that is useful. Yeah, and you may know some from your own family, medicinal things that you've done over the years, or your grandparents have used different medicines, plant medicines for healing or treatment. So we need to look at all of God's creation as medicine, you know, and we're connected to all of that. It's here for us, but it's also a part of God's creation overall. And we need to treat all these plants with respect. Like, for instance, these grounds here, it's absolutely beautiful what they've done with the landscape here.
One of the things that we do with the way that we learn as Native people is through oral tradition, right? We hear stories, you hear them a million times as a kid growing up, and eventually they just sink in your brain and you know them. So some of the stories that and some of the teachings that we're telling today have, we've learned them the same way that in that tradition of just hearing them a million times. And I'm gonna, usually I leave the storytelling up to Danny, because he's really charismatic, right? He looks good. He comes up here and he has this presence about him. And I've heard him tell this story a million times, and you know, kind of similar. Have you guys ever been to church and there's the sermon and you're kind of paying attention, or you're looking like you're paying attention, but you're thinking about like the Lions and Packers game later on, or you're doing something like that. So that's the same thing I do when Danny's telling a story sometimes. So I'm not going to tell this story as well as he does, because I don't pay attention as well. But when Joe was talking about that, about the tobacco and some of the uses that we use tobacco for, and then I heard that about the carving that's going to be here with about the clans, and we'll talk a little bit about the clans. But it reminded me of the story of the eagle and tobacco, eagle and tobacco, and kind of the significance of both. And there's this one story, and I might tell it a little bit wrong, but back in the day, a long time ago, right? When there were different villages, and it wasn't as populated, the towns in the earth. The Creator, he was starting to get a little frustrated with the way that human beings were acting, right? They kind of got away from a lot of these teachings and a lot of the ways that would be respectful to each other and to the earth. And he was really starting to get mad. And as people grew more and more disrespectful, he started to get even more mad. And finally he said, all right, that's it. I've had enough of this. I've had enough. I'm going to wipe them out. I'm going to get rid of all the people. Because they are being more destructive than they are being productive. And they've lost their ways. They've lost respect. They've lost They don't even talk to me anymore. They don't have a relationship with the Creator anymore. And so he was just really mad, and he was going to wipe them out. And Eagle heard about this, and so Eagle fly. Eagle's the highest flyer, right? So Eagle flies up, and he goes and meets with Creator, and he says, "Oh, Creator, hold up. Just give us a second, all right? Let's just calm down. Let's have a cup of tea, and relax." Creator said, "No, I'm made up my mind. We're done." And Eagle said, let me just do a little recon for you. Let me look around, and I'm gonna find a reason for you to have faith in people again." And Creator said, "All right, I'll make you. I have such low belief in people that if you can find even one group of people, one family even, that's doing things the way that I've taught them. If you can find anybody like that, then maybe I'll change my mind." And so Eagle says, "All right, I'm on a mission." So he goes back down, and he's flying around, and he's covering the earth. First day, he's like, "Yeah, this won't be too bad. I know people are good." So he's flying around, and he's looking at different villages, and he sees nothing good, right? He doesn't see people, doesn't see anybody connecting, he doesn't see anybody praying, he doesn't see any smoke. Because one of the ways that we pray is by offering that tobacco into a fire and saying prayers into that tobacco, and then the smoke comes up, and those are our prayers, and Eagle helps take those up. So Eagle wasn't seeing any of that. He wasn't seeing anything. So first day he was like, "Okay, well, that's all right. It's just the first day." And the Creator said, "I'll give you 4 days to do this." Second day, same thing. Nothing. Eagle's flying like crazy all over the earth trying to find people. Second day is the same. Nothing. Third day, Eagle's starting to get a little bit concerned now because time's coming up. He's flying even faster all around, even higher, trying to find anybody. Couldn't find anything. Nothing. And the fourth day comes, and Eagle's really starting to get worried. He's flying around. It's starting to get dark, He's really starting to worry because the Eagle's looking out for humans. He wants us to be around a little longer. He's not seeing anything. He's just about to kind of give up. He's a little worried, but he's still got that glimmer of faith in humans. And so he's flying around, and he just comes over this ridge, and down below he sees a little fire going. And he's like, "All right, this might be it." And he goes down, and he starts coming a little bit lower, and he sees a family, just one single family. And he goes down a little bit closer, and he gets a little closer and a little closer, and he sees that it's a grandmother and grandfather, mom and a dad, and a couple small kids, and and they're sitting around the fire, and the grandmother and grandfather are talking to the little kids, and they're telling them the stories, and they're teaching them some ways, and then he sees them take out a little bit of that same the tobacco, and the grandparents are showing the little kids how to use that, how to pray, and how to ask the Creator or give thanks to the Creator, and to send those spirits up. And Eagle's like, "Yep, that's it." And it's just as soon as they put that tobacco in the fire, and the smoke from that tobacco starts to come up, Eagle grabs that prayer, and he brings it up to the Creator and says, "Here you go." And Creator says, "All right, they did the bare minimum, right? That was it. The people did just enough to to restore some faith, in them. So Eagle helped us stick around in this world, right? And so that's why we say the Eagle's looking out for us, and that's another way that we have to continue that, or else Creator might do the same. Creator might get angry enough and frustrated with us enough to do it again. So that's why our grandparents and our elders are teaching the young ones how to do that, how to live a good way, right? We call that Bamadzawin. It's living the good way, good life, right? So, but we learned that from our grandparents, and then we put those prayers into our tobacco, put that tobacco in the fire, and Eagle takes us up to Creator for us. That's us. So, that was the Danny would tell you that one. A lot better, but
just like TJ said, we have stories for how all things come to be, and they're passed down. And a lot of you probably have listened to flute, and a lot of you love flute. And so this flute is kind of special for me. I had it custom made. And on it you'll see 2 feathers. And the reason being their significance. My brother died about 7 years ago or so, and Danny and my other brother went up and made a marker along Lake Superior to commemorate his passing. I wasn't able to be with them, so I went up about a month later, and they told me how to get there, and yet I'm walking the beach back and forth, and I can't find it. And so I said, Creator, God, please help me find my brother's marker. The biggest, most beautiful bald eagle I've ever seen came out of the woods, over the beach, over the water. And I told my wife, I said, I'm going where that eagle came out of the woods, and sure enough, there was a marker for my brother. So when the eagle came, and right by my brother's marker was the most beautiful eagle feather you'd ever seen. And I thought, I'd sure like to have that. And I thought, no, I think it's meant for my brother. So I put it by my brother's marker there. So about a year later, Danny and I were kayaking out on Teal Lake, and I was off by myself, he went off by himself, and kind of embarrassed, and I was saying, Creator, I really like that feather. I said, I kind of wish I had another one and stuff. And right away I said, I'm sorry. I said, you're so kind to me and so good. About 10 minutes later, there was another feather on the water. So that's why there's 2 feathers on this flute. And then Danny, if you've ever met him, has lots of tattoos up and down his arms, back, chest, and they're beautiful. And he's always after me to get a tattoo. I said, no, I'm not getting one. I said, well, I'll have the guy who does your tattoo my flute. So on the back of my flute is the bear. And the bear is associated with medicine because we would watch the bear to see what we could eat, what we couldn't eat, what was good medicine. So there's a bear there. Also, the other thing about this flute, this one's known as a healing flute because most of our instruments nowadays are made to resonate at 440 hertz. This one is made to resonate at 432 hertz. And the significance is they found that that's kind of the healing frequency in nature. So things that resonate at 432 hertz usually bring about healing. And so this one's, like I said, kind of special because it's not all the instruments are made in this 432 hertz. And just like we talked about how different things come to be, in most Indian traditions, the flute is known as the love flute because it's associated with a young man trying to court a woman and couldn't find his voice. And so the animals help him with that. And that's another story. I'm not going to tell that now because in the Anishinaabe tradition and the Ojibwe tradition, it's quite different. And the story is how it's been handed down to us goes like this. So a long time ago, there was a young man and a young woman born within hours of each other in the tribe. As these 2 children began to get older, they were inseparable. Wherever you found one, you found the other. And they were just so joy-filled. They just brought so much joy to the tribe. And they naturally were able to talk to the Creator. They would pray and pray to the Creator. And the people were learning from them how to be joy-filled to each other, how to pray and hear the Creator's voice, how to find their own voice and speak into the Creator. And they were just such a blessing to the village. And the villagers thought, wouldn't it be great if one day that these two got married? So one day, that time came, and the young man asked the young woman to marry him, and of course she said yes. Like I said, they were always inseparable, never apart. And so that blessed day came, they were married and spent time together. But because the young man now was married and older, he had to go on the hunt. And so the day came when all the men had to go on the hunt, and he had to go with them. And mind you, they had never been apart. So this was a very, very sad day. Both of them filled with tears, and even the tribe, other people in the tribe were filled with tears. They'd never seen these two apart. But they knew in a couple of weeks that they would be back and they'd be united again. So the young man went off, and of course the bride, she's waving and watching as far as she can see until she can't see him anymore, and he turns around, waves until he can't see her anymore. So every day she would go out and she'd look for him, knowing it's still going to be a couple weeks, but she'd still look in the hopes that maybe he'd return sooner. Nope, not there. He's not eating as much. Like I said, she's never been apart from him, and she's just not as joy-filled as she used to be, and just not herself. But as the day got closer, she'd go out and she'd look, and she was starting to get happier again, knowing that she's going to see him again soon and they'd be reunited again. And then finally, off on the horizon, she could see the hunting party returning. And so as they return, she's looking for him and she can't find him. She thinks, oh, he's fooling me, as far as he's hiding behind one of the horses. And they finally get up and they get there, and the leader steps down and says, I'm really sorry, he said, but your husband was killed in a hunting accident and he won't be returning here. We had to bury him. Well, you can imagine the grief that this young woman had. They'd never been apart. She thought they were going to be together forever, and now he was not going to be coming home. She was inconsolable. She wouldn't eat. She was crying all the time. She didn't know what to do. The members of the tribe, they tried to help her. She tried praying. She couldn't find her voice to speak to the Creator. She couldn't hear the Creator's voice any longer. She couldn't get any help from him because her grief was so big. So she thought, I'm just going to walk away from the village here, and I'm just going to walk until I lay down and die, because I can't go on like this. And so that day came, and she decided, I'm going to walk away. And so she started walking away, and she didn't get real far because, like I said, she was so weak from not eating and that. She lay down. And as she lay down, she was laying there, and all of a sudden there was a gentle breeze that began to blow. The breeze became a little bit stronger, and she began to hear a noise in the treetops that she'd never heard before. It was so beautiful, so melodic. The more she listened to it, the more her heart began to soften, the more that grief began to melt away, until all of a sudden she could hear the Creator's voice again. And the Creator said, your husband is with me. He's blessed, and one day you'll be with him again. He says, but I know that you want to just die so you can be with him again. He says, but I need you here to continue to teach the people. He said, will you stay here and teach them? And she knew that she had to do that, and she even apologized to the Creator. She said, I'm sorry. She said, I'm not speaking sooner, but I didn't have my voice. He says, I know that. He said, I know you couldn't find your voice because your grief was so big, and that's why you couldn't hear my voice. So he said, I want to give you an instrument to kind of make the same noise that you heard in the treetops. He said, so that when your grief is so big, or any members in your tribe, when that grief is so big, they can play this instrument, and that grief will begin to melt away. They'll be able to again find their voice again and hear my voice again. And then we began to realize that it wasn't only grief that would hide our Creator's voice from us. or how we couldn't find our voice, but maybe it was envy, maybe it was jealousy, maybe it was hatred, maybe it was an addiction we had, tobacco or alcohol or gambling or whatever it might be, that all these things could mask the Creator's voice or we couldn't hear it anymore, and also would help us not to be able to find our voice in speaking to Him, kind of out of shame. So we learned to realize that the instrument that He gave this woman and the tribe for healing was not only for healing grief, but also to heal all those things that mask us hearing the Creator or speaking to Him. So what I'd like you to do now is I'd like you to close your eyes, because we're all in need of healing of some kind. Close your eyes and just picture yourself in a place that's comfortable, maybe your favorite place by the lake or in a meadow or on the woods or wherever it may be. Open your heart and your ears so that the Creator can speak to you. And maybe that healing that you're longing for will begin with this song. So just like TJ talked about and how we talked about the drum being healing, the flute also is healing. All these instruments can be healing. And God can use whatever He wants to heal us, whether it's a sunset, a rainbow, or whatever. So close your eyes and just listen for God's voice.